Hi Sanjay,
Hi Adi,
welcome back to Sudeep Audio's channel.
thank you.
After your last video, I'm sure you got a lot of requests about how you approach a background score for a film or for a
Yeah,
scene.
yeah. I got a lot of requests and it's been really overwhelming.
Great,
And
and thank you for taking out time and agreeing to show us how you approach
yes,
a scene.
this is the new background score I'm working on. The movie's name is Thalaivaa, so I'm doing the background score. And this is a small action cue, cinematic cue, and it's mainly about how a lot of people ask me, like, how do you approach a background score, and what is the inspiration or what is the cue or any reference you get. Like basically, it's how you build your template or sound, for that particular action cue. And this I'm showing it because the producer also tells that he needs the cue as little bit as cinematic, or how he wants, basically the essence of how he wants it to sound. He might give a reference, or sometimes there might not be any reference. So how I approach as a cue, an action cue, cinematically, is that's what I'm going to show, and what I'm using in it, where strings, or how I'm just tweaking the strings, or the rhythm, or the hits, or the bass lines. I'll just show you a small sample of what I done. So
Yes.
hope you like it. So now in this particular scene, the producer and the director and the composer wanted an electro hybrid cinematic score where it had a lot of bass lines and electro rhythm and some cinematic where the strings and horns are happening in this scene. And so how I started this, I started off with a simple bass line. Slowly I started layering it with some slams, metal slams, then strings, which strings I used from the Vienna here. I loaded it into Vienna Ensemble Pro. And in the process, I ended up layering the horns, the cellos, then there's pads on this, synth pads, and there's a lot of string runs in this. And some samples here and there. It's tweaked with Vienna, the Vienna suit, and compressed from here itself. From the Vienna, I use the Vienna compressors, then the Vienna reverbs, and
So can we see the scene without the music?
yeah, without the music.
Just run through it.
Yeah.
So when you're told by the director
Yeah.
or the music composer,
Yeah.
does he give you a tune also?
Sometimes he gives me a
Like
tune.
for this scene, did you get any?
No, for this scene I didn't get any tune, but there are other scenes where the hero theme is there, which he give me a basic outline of the tune.
Correct.
So from there I just developed it.
Right, but in this scene you didn't get any.
In this scene I didn't get any reference also.
So you had to.
Basic idea just he gave outline, like electro stuff, electro synths, and then little bit of cinematic orchestral type of treatment. That's all. It's not pure orchestral.
Okay. So this is what you see when you are kind of producing.
Yeah, this is just like there are the dialogues. The sound effects are also not there.
Dialogues are there?
The rough dialogues are there. And basically, whenever I start a cue, I start off very empty. I start off on a blank template. So.
But tell me something.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of software and plugins and all available.
Yeah.
So how do you decide that for such an action scene, I will take Storm Drum, or I will use World Percussion,
Yeah.
or I will use Vienna, or I will use Hollywood strings.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety that
Lot
we
of
have.
variety is there.
You also have many softwares which have different kind of strings played,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
How do you decide that in such a scene you will take Hollywood strings and you will not take Vienna strings, or vice versa?
It's basically I first decide like what type of strings I need. Now certain softwares have good, very punchy strings, which will suit for action cues, and certain strings which will sound very lyrical and very soft for nice passionate scenes. So basically, I don't use any strings from that particular software. I first take one string patch from Hollywood Strings and another viola. I'll take another viola from Vienna.
So you mix and match.
I love mix and matching. I don't stick to one piece of software.
And on what track do you decide that this has to be, I need to add compression on this or I need to add reverb on this?
Yeah.
How do you come
It
to that
basically
decision?
depends on the energy of the track, how I build the rhythm and the bass line. If I need the strings really to pop out, then I compress. If I need the strings to really stay within that cue, then I just leave it as it is. I might like tweak it little bit with EQ or have little bit of reverb tail on that whole piece.
Right. So whenever you work on such pieces,
Yeah.
on different parts of a film,
Yeah.
for every composition or every production, do you have to send it to the film director for approval?
Yeah, that I do. So after I just finishing that piece, I just make an MP3 and just send it to the composer, or the composer comes to my studio, and the producer also, they come here and they see the whole thing, and it's like a presentation.
Correct.
So I do that. Then if there are any changes, I make it on the
But like
spot.
films are 2 hours and 2.5 hours, so it's
Yeah.
like crazy to show every.
It's really crazy.
So you have to show everything that you
Every
do.
reel which I do, I just present it to them.
Oh,
And
okay.
the editing and the thing takes on the spot itself. I edit, the entire thing is edited, and again I
Okay.
give them a new length for the new cue, new cut. And
Okay.
sometimes the producers get me new edited trimmed reels, so the length changes drastically. So then I have to refit the music to the new length of the movie.
So are you paid for every change? Or?
Yeah, sometimes and sometimes not. But I mean that at the end of the day, I'm not bothered about whether they pay me for that extra or not. But I'm just bothered about that happiness which gives in doing that cue, and they like. That's my main thing.
Right. I'm sure this happiness is seen a lot in your work.
Yeah.
And so why don't we listen to the entire track
The
that you
cue which
produced
I done. Yeah, of course I
and
played.
which has been approved and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm playing the whole MIDI session. It's not bounced yet.
So one quick question, Sanjay. It was a
Yeah.
very nice production
Thank
part
you.
that we heard.
Thank you.
It seemed like it was a musical piece, where it was
Yeah.
rhythmically
Rhythmically, yeah.
produced and created. How do you judge the tempo of a scene, or is it shot in such a way that it can lock to a tempo of a certain meter or certain BPM?
I see it quite in a different way. I see the body movements of the hero or the other people in the scene, where they have a particular jerk movement or something, where the fight itself the action itself is like a dance. It's like a choreography. So I try to match those body movements, and I fix a tempo to that, and I build the stems or the elements according to that.
Right.
I do like that.
Okay. And when it comes to, say, for example, say the fading out of a piece,
A piece, yeah.
how do you decide? Because it should not sound very jerky,
Jerky.
or it should not sound very, silly, that it's moving to another reel,
yeah.
that post fight there's somebody talking on the phone.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that kind of end,
End.
Does it end with a bang or does it fade out?
Yeah. It depends on the scene. When there's a bridge from this scene to that scene, and it's interconnected, and after this, the hero's father is talking with him on the phone, and so asking him why you did like that, why there was a fight. I sent you to college because I wanted you to become a big dancer and all this whatever. So basically, I wanted the essence, a little bit of that essence of that action, to be in a very subtle way going behind that telephone conversation scene, and slowly fading out into the dusk.
Okay. So it is essential for you as a composer, producer, to look at even what is happening after this particular scene. It's
called the tail ending, like after a sample, where the reverb just dies down very nicely. It's just like that. We have to look into the end of the other scene, where so that you can little bit take that music into that, but with lot of subtleness.
Okay.
So that it doesn't disturb the conversation, the content of that scene.
Cool. Thanks for sharing these tips with us, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay.